Okay, so I have not made a YouTube video yet, and this is gonna be a little bit new, but I make videos on TikTok. For any of you that are finding me, I think it's linked. It's the same name that I have on here. Um, and as you can tell by my lovely window, it is nighttime. It's like 11:30ish. But I was laying in bed, and I kind of had like this, I don't know, this calling in my heart. It was like, hey, I need to get up and I need to preach something, or at least share something. So I've talked about it a bit in the past on TikTok. I want to come from a place, I don't know, just level with you. Because we are no better than each other. We are all the same. And the only person to judge is Christ. Now, in that, I want to talk about a little bit about forgiveness and kind of what specifically we're called to do as Christians. Because, it gets debated because, or not, maybe not debated, but it gets kind of a little muggy for people, or murky for people that, don't follow the way and just like pick up stuff that they heard. I was that way for a while, but we are called to be more and more Christ-like. And you might ask, what does that mean exactly? Does that mean we should be perfect? Does that mean that we should be able to turn water into wine, be able to walk on water? It does not. In essence, being called to be like Christ is trying to not per se live up to the expectations, but to be more like him, if that makes any sense, in the way that he lived, in the way that he treated others, and so on and so forth. Now, a big thing within any, no matter what denomination it is, no matter if you're Catholic or Protestant or anything like that, is forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the key pillars of the doctrine, the theology, the teachings, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna read a verse from Ephesians, reading out of the King James version. We're in Ephesians 4, verse 32. And ye be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. Now, what exactly does that mean? Especially with new translations, it can get a little weird and everything. But I want to hammer home the point. Is that it says, and be ye kind one to another, one to another. There we go. So it's saying, henceforth, before even the opportunity to forgive is there, you should be able to be kind to one another, no matter who they are, no matter if they're Muslim, if they're somebody else, a brother and sister in the faith, no matter what, be kind to people. Then it says tender-hearted. It's kind of like more of like there's a word I'm looking for, but it's slipping my mind. But it's furthering the point of being kind to each other. And it says, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. Now, that could be a little bit of a tricky thing, because it could mean, some people take it as, oh, I'm going to forgive them, and I'm going to keep them in my life, no matter what they did to me. The first part, yes. But just because you have to forgive somebody, okay, as we are called to do as Christians, just because you forgive the person does not mean you can allow, or you should allow that person to keep harming you. One of the big things, and somewhere within the Gospels, I don't remember exactly where, you can fact check me, is, or it might not be in the Gospels, but it's a statement. What if, let's say this hypothetical, what if Jesus didn't forgive you? Okay, what about, all the sin, the lust, I don't know, the cussing, the idolatry, the pride. Pride is a huge thing. And even in myself, falling into lust, to pride from others. And what if Jesus didn't forgive you for what you did? And that's a really scary thought. But we are called throughout the New Testament, even throughout some parts of the Old Testament, to be more like God. That does not mean that we're all going to be perfect. We're always going to fall. Okay, no matter what. No person outside of Christ has walked on this earth and lived a perfect life. Nobody has done it. We are striving, if you want to say, we are going forth to try and be better within Christ. And a big part of that is forgiving. And there's other things within the Christian doctrine, such as, trying to think. We are called, we're called to be kind. We're called to forgive. We're also called to, we're to be compassionate, which is kind of one and the same as being kind. But you cannot hold the grudges. Because if you hold the grudges, that malice starts to build up, and when that rage, and again, it could even cause medical problems if it's, if it's just internalized anger for so much and everything. And I know since I've started my walk, forgiveness has been a really, really tough thing for some people, or not for some people, for me, to give to some people. But when you start seeing that everybody sins, and yeah, the person might not realize it was wrong at the time, but at some point they will. Jesus has a plan for that brother or sister that you think, oh, they're just so horrible. No, that's a sin too. But Jesus has a plan for that person. He or she will see what she did wrong, and the fruit of that spirit will come back and it will help you. I promise you it will. And, I want to hit on another point. The pride that I was talking about earlier is if you're in your walk, okay, and you're deeper in your walk, or you're deeper in the faith than, let's say, a brother or sister who just started, who just gave their life to Jesus. Yesterday they were having a horrible day, and that night they were like, hey, Jesus, I'm going to give my life to you, okay? You are no different in Jesus' eyes than that person, and that's how it should be. That's how it should be within the faith. But it gets spewed a lot, so, oh, I'm holier than thou. That's exactly what the Pharisees did, and look where they ended up. But that's not to say that, you can't correct people or anything. And a big thing within the pride is selective sinning, which is kind of the process of, oh, I won't touch alcohol, but you know what, I'll smoke, and that's okay. But, the brother that is perfectly fine, but he drinks on the weekends, or he drinks during the week a little too much, oh, he's a horrible person. Sin is sin, okay? There's one that is above that, and that's a blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. Put the topic for another video. But that's that sort of pride that, oh, their sin is worse than mine. Or you can even, at some points that I have struggled with my entire walk, is that your sin is somehow more greater, or that Jesus will not forgive you for the sins that you have created, or not created, the sins that you have done. That is a root of pride. Well, it doesn't take the form of, the tradition, what we think of it in traditional sense. It still takes the form of pride, and it is a mind trap, and it sucks. I promise you, there is nothing that you can do outside of blaspheming the Holy Spirit. There's nothing you can do that will make Jesus' sacrifice in vain. You cannot make, as long as you give your life to Christ, and as long as you're thinking, oh, I don't need to be doing that, you keep falling back into sin, but you keep getting back up. That's what you need to do. That is what it teaches us to do. We will fall into sin. We will continue to keep having these battles and this spiritual warfare with the enemy. But as long as we come back to our roots and we come back to Jesus, it will all be paid for by the blood, because it was paid for by a man that was 33-ish at the time, that carried a wooden cross, was beat, was lashed, and was bled dry on a cross for your and my sins. Okay? And to hit on the point of forgiveness a little bit more, people might wrong you, or people might not know that it's a sin. Just correct them. Or even if they do and they keep doing it, stay with them, because the biggest thing you can be for a person, you can't be their Jesus, but the biggest thing you can be for a person is an inspiration, or somebody that they can look up to. I've got a buddy who, part of the reason I gave my life to Christ is because I saw his life completely change. He was happy. He even sat me down one day and pretty much just said, hey, why aren't you in the faith? Because I was lukewarm at the time. Why aren't you in the faith? Gave me one reason why I should not be in the faith. And I know I'm rambling a little bit, and I'll have a script for these videos. But the biggest thing you can do is learn the good, learn the good word, forgive, and do not fall into pride, brothers and sisters, because having that malice and that sort of pride that you're holier than thou is the exact same thing that got the Pharisees, or not that got the Pharisees, is the exact same line of thinking that the Pharisees had, and we saw how that ended up. But I have a lot more videos I want to make on here, and I just wanted to, if you're watching, I just wanted to thank you, because I know I'm rambling and I probably can't hear me that well, but yeah, thank you for watching.